Are you past it if you're a woman and you're over 35? People in the popular mainstream media would say, yes, you are past it. My name's Law of Attraction, and I'm a life coach and spiritual teacher. And I'm going to have a chat to you today about whether or not women over a certain age are past it. I was watching a video the other day by Neill. Now, if you don't know Neill, she is a bodybuilder who is over 50, and she got into shape after her 40s, which probably is quite common actually for quite a few of us. Many people ride through their early 30s, their 20s, living however they like, and then it suddenly catches up with them as their metabolism starts to slow down and pre-menopausal symptoms start to hit. Now, Neill is in fantastic shape. She is an example to all women. She also talks about dieting and exercise after the menopause, which is something that isn't talked about hugely from what I can see in the fitness industry. Now, the short that she played, and I'll try and put an excerpt in here.
Messages like this on my social media that's describing me as being too old, or my body is not perfect enough to show other women what they can achieve over the age of 40. I find these comments really disturbing because it's okay, isn't it, for a young woman or somebody who's got a perfect body to show it off to their heart's content. But when it comes to women like me, people find it really unacceptable.
As you can see from this excerpt, she was talking about the trolling that she'd had on one of her videos, and I was really disgusted by the comments that she'd had. They had told her that she was too old, that her belly button was weird, that she looked odd. Now, Neill has got some excess skin because of the way that she's lost weight, but excess skin is very normal for human beings, particularly for women, whether or not they've lost weight. You'll see that sagging appears on women's skin from children, from childbirth, from body changes, from influx and changes in hormones, particularly around menopausal age. Well, something that I find disgusting is that mainstream media basically shops women off after the age of about 35 and starts to bring in younger models or younger actresses. I was horrified to see a recent movie with Harrison Ford, who's in his 70s, with a love interest of a woman who was in her 20s, which is frankly just disgusting. I mean, it's acceptable because we see these things regularly. We see older men in their 50s, 60s, 70s chasing after young women. And so men in their 70s, 80s are still viewed as being attractive. Think about Al Pacino or Johnny Depp, who's in his late 50s. We look at these men as being still attractive because that's how they are portrayed. They're put into mainstream media roles, and we're conditioned socially to think that older men are grey foxes and that they're beautiful and all of these kind of ideas, that they become more rugged and age like fine wines. Now, the reason we don't view women that way is only due to social conditioning. Their aging is no less attractive than a man aging. It's just that it's been portrayed as being something that is disgraceful. Now, if you look at an attractive older woman such as Helen Mirren or Meryl Streep, they're just as beautiful as they were when they were younger. They've just got a few more wrinkles, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's the same thing with Johnny Depp. He's just as beautiful as he was when he was younger. It's just he's got a few more wrinkles. And this social conditioning, unfortunately, leaves women past a certain age as being left to the wayside, ignored and feeling very unattractive. And the difficulty for this society is that also women have been told their level of importance in society is entirely based on their sexuality and being desired by men. And so after 35, 45, 55, you start to see women chasing this unachievable, everlasting youth. And if you watch anything like The Real Housewives, for instance, you can see women like Lisa Rinna or Camille who are consistently chasing the youthful look. I mean, look at somebody like Madonna, who is obsessed with looking younger. She's in her 60s now, I think, and it's very odd to see her looking still as young as 40. And is aging something that's so disgraceful that we should all be pretending that we don't do it? Is aging something that is so horrific that we should be trying to cut it out of our lives? And once again, the only reason why aging is not revered is because society and culture has taught us that youthfulness is the most important thing for anyone. Now, of course, we all want to be as healthy as possible as we grow older. That is the most important thing. But looking young isn't necessarily something that is important, except for the fact that we've been socially conditioned into it. Now, I would suggest that in most Eastern cultures, to be somebody old is something that is revered, that with age comes wisdom. But in Western society, we have removed all reverence for age, for the wisdom that comes with being an older person in society. And so after people have retired, what do? We should be revering our elders a little more and recognizing that people have more to give to society other than their levels of attractiveness. That youth isn't the most important paradigm. Health is, which is why somebody like Melissa Neill, who has lost a lot of weight, become very healthy, and stepped on stage in bikini body competitions because she knows how to manage her hormones and her health post 50, should be somebody that should be revered, not should be getting trolled with comments about slightly saggy skin. We all have these foibles, and the more that we continue them, the more that we'll be telling little girls that there's something wrong with them. And so we as women must attempt to not succumb to the social conditioning that all we are worth is our beauty. I see this a lot with famous parents. Think about Kylie Jenner. She had rather thin lips at one point and has now gone and had lots and lots of lip fillers. And she has children. And what about when her children grow up and may look like her or her original face? And they won't look like her because she's had so much plastic surgery to look completely different. And so when her daughter comes to her and she says, "Mummy, why don't I look like you?" And Kylie has to say, "Well, I didn't like my face, so I went to go and get all this work done. I didn't like my body, so I went to go and get all this work done." What does that tell our daughters? That mummy hated her face so much, and yet that's the face that your daughter's sitting there with? Something I find devastating about the levels of plastic surgery that's happening in the world is actually that it's very Eurocentric. And we are demolishing the indigenous and ethnic imagery of our forefathers and foremothers. The differentiation between our ethnic looks is being quashed. And I think that's really sad. There's something very beautiful about a Grecian nose or an Arabic face or, the look of different ethnicities. You think about the strong nose, the strong profile of a Native American. And yet here we are making button noses and plump lips, the golden ratio face. But as we're doing that, we're killing our ethnic differences, we're killing diversity, and we're also going to tell all of our children that there's something wrong with them and that they need to go and get their faces cut up to be beautiful. And I think that's a devastating message that we're putting to the children of our world. I think it's time we all step back a little bit from social media, and we certainly take a step back from photoshopping our pictures or, getting beauty treatments. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of something to make yourself feel better. But where does it stop? And why are you getting it in the first place? Who created these ideologies that plump lips and button noses and, the fox eye look? Who created these ideas that is what is beautiful? And why did they create it? And I'll tell you always that it's the mainstream media and it's for money.